Welcome back to Momentum Academy. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to do competitor analysis. This lesson is part of our Bubble.io certification bootcamp, and it's the next step in your UX design process. If you're enjoying the course so far, make sure to subscribe so you can follow along with every upcoming lesson and tutorial. In the last session, we focused on user research, gathering information through surveys, interviews, and empathy maps to understand our users' needs and frustrations. Now, we're turning our attention outward. Before we design anything, we need to understand what's already happening in the market. This is where competitor analysis comes in. Competitor analysis is known as secondary research because we're not gathering new data from users, we're analysing what's already out there. The goal is to understand what else exists in our space, what's working, what's not, and where there's an opportunity to build something better. In UX, we focus on two kinds of competitors. Direct competitors are those that offer a similar product or service to the same type of user. For example, if we're designing a platform for freelancers, direct competitors might include Upwork or Fiverr. Pseudo competitors, on the other hand, are products that solve similar problems but in a slightly different market. These could include job boards, portfolio sites, or networking tools that share overlapping user needs. Looking at both helps us understand the landscape from different angles. Competitor analysis helps us understand more than just features. We also look at the business models, usability, and design approaches of each product. We want to identify what they're doing well, what could be improved, and what opportunities might exist for us to stand out. Now, an important part of this process is identifying the strengths and weaknesses of each competitor. Studying larger competitors with bigger budgets can be incredibly valuable because you can learn from the outcomes of their research without having to invest the same amount of time or money yourself. They've already tested, iterated, and refined their products, so by analysing their work, you gain those insights for free. But remember, just because a competitor is doing something doesn't mean they're doing it well, or that users actually like it. Some of the biggest companies still make usability mistakes, and noticing those mistakes gives you a real opportunity to improve on their experience. To make your findings clear, it helps to create a table that summarises the key features of each competitor along with their strengths and weaknesses. Here's an example of the research outcomes we created when comparing freelance platforms. Across the top of the table, you can see the competitors we analysed: Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer, People Per Hour, and Dribbble. In the columns, we've summarised their main features, strengths, and weaknesses based on what real users experience when using these platforms. We started by looking at what each one does best. Upwork, for instance, has strong approval processes and clear informational pages that make it easy for beginners to get started. Fiverr stands out for its strong visual design and clear communication of what it offers. Freelancer has a good mix of community and competition features such as bidding and referral rewards. People Per Hour's layout is clean and professional, while Dribbble focuses on creativity and community interaction, helping users showcase their work visually. But every platform also has its weaknesses. Upwork's long processes can feel slow for users who want immediate work. Fiverr's marketplace is large but can be hit or miss in quality. Freelancer's interface feels dated and cluttered. People Per Hour lacks clear contact options and receives mixed reviews, and Dribbble, while beautifully designed, sometimes gives an unrealistic view of client expectations and limits upload sizes. By laying these observations side by side, we can clearly see which areas are oversaturated and which are still open for improvement. For example, messaging and communication tools appear across most platforms, but personalization and user support are often weak. Some focus heavily on professionalism, while others lean more on community and creativity. This type of comparative table helps us quickly identify what the market already provides, what users appreciate, and where the biggest opportunities for innovation lie. It's a clear, visual way to summarize complex findings and guide our next design decisions. On this slide, you can see an example of a competitor table from our research. Here, we compared platforms like churchjobs.net, church staffing, ministry jobs, Indeed, and LinkedIn. Down the left, we've listed key features such as resume builder, profile builder, on-platform messaging, social media connections, personalized content, and online conferencing or classes. The ticks and crosses show which platforms support each feature. Looking at this comparison, you can immediately spot the gaps. Most competitors offer a basic resume builder, but few allow for social networking or personalized profiles. Some have messaging features, but they're inconsistent or limited. Others lack interactive options like online meetings or classes. LinkedIn covers many of these areas, but because it serves such a broad audience, it doesn't focus on the niche needs that smaller platforms could specialize in. This type of visual summary makes it easy to see where you can add value. If every competitor misses a key feature that users need, that's your chance to design a better solution. It also helps you confirm what's already expected, so you don't accidentally remove something users now consider standard. Once your table is complete, you can transfer your findings into a visual board using FigJam or Miro. List the competitors and use coloured sticky notes to record your insights. This approach helps your team see patterns quickly and decide which ideas to explore further. After analysing your competitors, you should be able to describe the overall market clearly. You'll understand what each competitor is doing well, what they're doing poorly, and what they're not doing at all. You'll also know which features are essential to include in your own product, which ones are nice to have, and which might not be relevant to your users. Now let's look at the outcomes of our research. Once your research and competitor analysis are complete, you'll want to pull everything together into a summary that can be shared with your client or team. This summary captures what you've learned and gives you something concrete to refer to as you move into the next design phase. By this stage, you should be able to describe the target demographics and the user personas for your product. You should understand the industry and be able to explain what your competitors are doing well, what they're doing badly, and what they're not doing at all. You should also be able to describe which features are essential, which are important, and which are less relevant to your users. From your research, you'll start to see patterns in user behaviour. You'll identify the pain points and frustrations that prevent users from reaching their goals. You'll also uncover any limitations that might affect accessibility, for example, designing for elderly users or people with visual impairments. Another key part of your summary is describing the overall UI and UX of your competitors. Are their products easy to navigate or confusing? Are they modern or starting to feel outdated? What kinds of design elements do they use? Icons, layouts, and navigation structures. Bringing all of this together gives you a full picture of the user experience landscape and prepares you to design something more effective. Now let's look at an example summary from our research project. Overall, our findings showed that most freelance platforms operate in favour of the employer, especially when it comes to pricing and job control. Freelancers told us they want as many details about a project as possible before applying, so clarity and transparency are essential. Both freelancers and employers said they would like the ability to communicate directly at some point in the process, ideally offline or outside the platform. We also discovered that many people prefer using their own personal networks to find work rather than relying entirely on job boards. And across the board, freelancers expressed frustration that many online marketplaces tend to devalue their skills or lower the perceived worth of their work. These are powerful insights because they help us design with empathy. They remind us that the product we build should give both sides of the market, freelancers and employers, a sense of trust, fairness, and open communication. When you're finished compiling your research, this summary can be presented to your client or stakeholders for review and approval before you move into the UI design phase. It gives everyone a clear understanding of what's been learned and ensures that your design decisions are grounded in real data. That concludes our lesson on presenting research findings. In the next lesson, we'll use these insights to define the problem, the core challenge our design needs to solve. I'll see you there.